Some forces on this earth cannot be defeated because they were never built to fall, not because they crush others, but because their power is rooted in something no weapon can touch. From memory, from meaning, from generations that bled but never broke. India is often misread by minds that only know the language of missiles, money, and might. But India's true force can't be counted in aircrafts, banknotes, or battles. It's buried deep where courage is carved into the bones of a billion souls. It's unshakable, unbreakable, unforgettable spirit. This spirit isn't loud patriotism. It is quiet defiance that lasts centuries. It is a breathless flame, burning in the blood of its people, generation after generation, forged in pain, tempered in loss, and lit by the eternal question, who are we, if not free? This land has tasted every test history could serve. It has watched crowns fall, things burn, and swords rust in its soil. But never, not once, did it forget who it was. It planted deeper roots, always rising from the inside out. Its fuel was never fear, but depth, discipline, and devotion. That's what sets India apart. It doesn't roar, it reverberates. India's spirit doesn't live in stone or scripture alone. It breathes in every bowed head, in every touch of reverence, in every quiet ritual that says, we remember. It teaches to walk tall in loss and bow low in victory. It reminds the world, power without meaning is hollow, and success without soul is forgettable. This is the land where kings traded crowns for clarity, because truth was a higher throne, where real strength wasn't measured by what you conquered, but what you controlled within. That strength is rarer than steel, the kind that swallows pride, gives more than it takes, and heals without revenge. And it's exactly what the world overlooks when it tries to box India into charts and tanks. When they came, they looted its land, mocked its mind, and caged its body. But they never reached its soul. That was guarded by something no army could invade. That spirit flowed through rebel songs, whispered prayers, and mothers who taught hope under foreign flags. And when the chains fell, India didn't just rise, it rewrote the script, turning wounds into wisdom and tyranny into transformation. It didn't just reclaim freedom, it built a future, a democracy carved from dialogue, rockets launched with resolve, a digital nation rising from the dust, with peace as its power, not payback. You can count jets, you can count coins, but you can't measure the weight of a billion beating hearts. They echo something greater, a force too vast to quantify. The real strength pulses in its people, who dare to dream with unshaken faith, who greet the sunrise not with rest, but with relentless effort, and begin again the moment they end, day in, day out, without applause, without complaint. It's the silent might of a people who still live by truth, duty, and a purpose far greater than profit or pride. Few lands have endured such long chains and deep wounds, and still walked free with head held high. They arrived with steel, fire, and banners, convinced they could own what they did not understand. And for a moment in history's vast river, they did hold the reins. They carved maps for profit, laid tracks to drain, and rewrote tongues and laws to erase identity. But the one thing they couldn't touch was the unseen realm within every Indian soul. They held the land, but never the heartbeat. India is not a pin on a map. It is an echo of eternity. It is a living memory, older than empires, louder than invasions. This civilization wasn't laid in brick and mortar. It was imagined in thought and born in truth. Ideas carved in silence, rooted in soul, and strong enough to outlive time itself. Even in chains, India breathed inward, its spirit undimmed, its rituals untouched, its wisdoms, its bloodlines, its trees, its chants, its spices, Its songs, each pulsed on, quietly defiant. None of it bowed. All of it stood, anchored in something older than any empire's banner. They could torch scrolls, level shrines, rewrite lessons. Yes, but they couldn't silence lullabies, bedtime stories, or the quiet prayers stitched into every heartbeat passed down. And that's what they never grasped. They thought that stealing the skeleton would kill the soul, that rewriting dates could erase identity. But India's self was never penned in policies. It was sung in the kitchen, folded in saris, and carried in fire. It comes from something far less visible and far more immortal. The tales that outlived the rulers who tried to erase them, the sunrise mantras, the twilight melodies. The recipes carried in breath, from wrinkled hands to tiny palms. The sacred knots that tied generations, not just wrists. That's where true India lives. Within the ordinary lies the extraordinary. It flows under the skin of daily life, stitched into routine, wrapped around memory. You cannot conquer people who remember who they are, even when the world forgets. Even when the world insists on writing a different story, India holds the pen. The British arrived with tools to take more than they gave. The Mughals brought their armies and left behind domes, but their rule, like all others, faded. Others knocked with trade in one hand and quiet takeover in the other. But every one of them left, because no one stays where the soul won't surrender. They learned you can govern land, but not command the hearts that beat on it. Yes, they bent before foreign crowns, but never in soul. The spirit stayed, unyielding, unshaken, unmistakably Indian. This is where India stands apart. Where others were shaped by rulers, India was shaped by resilience. It's not some modern agreement scribbled into existence. It's a civilizational force, forged over thousands of years with memory older than maps. So when the world wonders why India will never fall, the answer is obvious. Again and again, this country has been bruised by invaders, disasters, and mistakes, by outsiders with swords, by insiders with division, by storms, famine, and ruin. And just when the world believed India could not rise, India did. It stood taller and sturdier, not just to breathe, but to build, to rewrite its destiny on its own terms, and to lead, not with power, but with purpose carved from pain. India bore wounds, some deep, some deliberate, but it never lost direction. Its riches were stolen, its pride tested again and again, but the core never cracked. It held, it healed. When empires tried to shrink India into a subject, they forgot she'd already survived worse. While others crowned dictators, India trusted its people and gave them the pen. Every decade brought storms, but India walked into them. This is the legacy of a land that transforms scars into strength and pain into purpose. India doesn't win because it's prepared. It wins because it refuses to stay down. It stands because falling is never the final chapter here. Even now, as the world reshapes and giants tremble, India walks through flames with grace, unmoved by noise, unbroken by others. Doubt India and prepare to be proven wrong. Some nations live in the present, but India lives across time.